There's never been a better time to have SiriusXM. With even more exclusive content, with over 150 channels in your vehicle, including the widest, deepest variety of music, ad-free. Root for your team. Get news. Listen to whatever makes you laugh. And hear all about your favorite stars. Your Platinum Plan offer includes more than ever before to enjoy online, on your phone, or at home. Create your own ad-free personalized stations powered by Pandora. Hear ad-free extra channels filled with music and enjoy favorite shows with SiriusXM Video. Thousands of hours of shows and performances on demand. What you love is on now.
As we continue our journey into the adventure that is Jeeps, we must remember that there are two sides of the coin when it comes to the 12-volt offering for Jeep enthusiasts. Of course, we have the audio side, but let's not forget how important lighting is to Jeep enthusiasts as well. Today in the studio, we are covering a brand known as Lumens Hpl. We have their owner, Chris Chiang, in the studio with us to take us through the entire line and to tell us why Lumens really is something you need to pay attention to. This is CMA Connected, presented by SiriusXM, Lumens Hpl, and it starts now. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to another CMA Connected presented by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu, and today we're talking about lighting, but not just any lighting. We're not just talking about light bulbs today. We are talking about application-specific lighting engineered and designed for the Jeep market. And when it comes to that, Lumens has a ton of offering that you might not be aware of. But first, let's go ahead and bring on their Canadian distributor, Importel, and representing them, our good friend and 12-volt specialist, Romesh Kulusagaram.
Hey, Ben.
Mr.
How's it
Romesh,
going?
it's going good. We are talking about Jeep, sir, a really cool category that's kind of on the up and up. And, it's not just audio, because Jeep people love their accessories, and with that comes some pretty specific product that caters to this market, isn't there?
Absolutely. Jeep in the aftermarket, from a category standpoint, it is the most vibrant category, closely followed by Mustang. So Jeep owners are widely renowned to modify and upgrade their vehicles, and they tend to spend a lot of time and effort and money upgrading what was a simply factory transportation pod, if you will, designed maybe more with capability for off-road, but and really, but designed to be able to go much further. And they upgrade the performance, and they upgrade the lighting, and they upgrade the audio, and that's where we come in, right?
That's amazing. And so we're going to talk about that specifically today. The Lumens brand, you've had in your portfolio for quite some time. And I think the first question I want to ask you is, Lumens has kind of a thing about it. What do you feel is the reason why Lumens has such a loyal following, especially in the whole aftermarket lighting category?
Well, I think there's a large number of competitors out there, or people in the lighting category. Lumens, I think what makes them different is they don't do anything simply off the shelf. They design here in Canada in-house. So as far as temperature testing and understanding the performance of the lighting, the specific piece of lighting. So it's not just a case of putting out ratings for number of lumens, because that doesn't equate to a beam pattern. That doesn't equate to actually being visible. It just is a measurement. And we'll see Chris and his team, they put a lot of effort into making sure that the product performs correctly. And performing correctly and having a output number are not the same. And I think that's where the following comes from. They're not guessing. And because it's not off the shelf product, they have it all sorted out because they're testing them in vehicles there. So that, things like light flickering and different, I guess, hurdles that we have to overcome depending on the application. They've already got it sorted out, and their website, and so they have an industry-leading website for applications, finding applications. You don't have to call a secret, CSIS number to get the part. Well, I mean, like some companies hold on to it like it's the secret to the caramel milk bar. Not to date myself, I don't know if anybody eats caramel milk anymore, but anyways, so they hold on to those types of things. And what it tends to do for dealers and consumers is the consumer, I'm sure every consumer before they end up at one of our dealers has bought something online off of, wherever, and it showed up and it doesn't work or it doesn't perform to spec. And then, so Chris's team, the ingression proofing or ingress proofing, i.e. waterproofing and dust proofing, impact resistance, how much current the product draws. Like, is it like you can make an output just like amplifiers when you talk in audio, but how much current does it draw, and can you supply that? Like, is it feasible to supply that? The connectors, all of that stuff for the Jeep. I mean, if you're in the Jeep category, you need to be in the Jeep category, right?
Yeah, and so, Lumens is totally all in,
right?
For sure.
And that's where the following comes from is once you've had typically they've either never had an issue with it, or they've been in the segment but not with Lumens, and then they needed to solve a problem. Because we get those calls like, oh, I don't know, this guy's got something and he came to me and it's doing this and it's doing that, and I didn't solve it to him, but we need to fix it. And then with Lumens, we're like, hey, you put one of these in, it connects directly to their bulbs. Because you don't have their bulbs, well, you may have to cut something and do something,
right?
But in future, you never have to do that.
I have to speak from experience a little bit. I too enjoy using this product, and I can vouch for the fact that this is a no hassle, it just works kind of situation. I applaud them for that. And overall, my comment to Lumens, they're not the glossy marketing machine, but they certainly put their resources into where it counts, which is ensuring that what they say their products are going to do, over deliver. So having said that, we've, and this is no different from the presentation we're going to have today. Chris and his team put a lot of time into what we're going to go through today, because he wants to ensure that, the message that we're going to, deliver here today is accurate and is all inclusive. So before we bring him on, what, Ramesh, are you looking most forward to learning about today?
About
everything
Jeeps.
That we're going to.
Well, about Jeeps, just like the integration to the category, right? I mean, the category is diverse. It covers a lot of different solutions. I'm not sure that our own dealers that have been doing this selling Lumens for a really long time are aware of what we can offer in Jeep specifically, because unless you're a Jeep owner, you get a lot of Jeeps where you're at, you may not even kind of know what's out there.
Well, pay attention,
they're on our
guys.
website.
Yep. But pay attention. This is it. This is going to be a good one. Lock yourself in. Take out a notepad and get some learning.
Actually, a notepad is a good suggestion.
It's a good idea. There's a lot.
The amount of detail that goes into lighting, and I'll admit that 6 years ago I was unknowing. There is a ton of work and design that goes into Lumens products, like simple, what you would think is a simple product. There's a lot of detail.
Let's find out. Without further ado, I'd like to invite to our studio the owner and the man behind the product from Lumens Hpl, Mr. Chris Chiang.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
What's going on, Chris? Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you.
So we've kind of like set you up as to be this like super intense, like attention to detail kind of guy. And like it or not, Chris, you are. That is exactly what you are. We love you for it. We're pretty excited to have you on today to talk about product, but more specifically, product that Lumens offers within the Jeep category, right? But maybe we can start with laying down a baseline a little bit for those who maybe haven't heard about your brand, yourself, the product. And for those who are new to Lumens Hpl, why don't you tell us what exactly it is that you do?
So at Lumens Hpl, we try to be the one-stop shop for quality lighting at a fair price. And when we build our line, we try to limit the selection for each category. That way we minimize confusion. So what I mean by that is we won't have 10 different LED headlight bulb conversions, for instance. We only offer the minimal selection So if you have an H11 bulb, there's only maybe a couple to choose from, so that dealers, consumers, they don't get confused by all the different selections there are. In the design process, we want to provide quality, functionality, ease of install. And obviously, at the end of the day, we keep the end user in mind, the guy that's actually going to be using the products.
Yeah, and that totally reflects. If you get the chance to go to the website, we just put it up there. Go there and explore the way the line is broken out. It's not hard to understand, like Chris has said, and it's easier to also stock when it comes to inventory. But now that we understand that's kind of like your baseline, let's move into what we're here for, which is Jeep lighting. So, how much experience do you actually have in the Jeep category, Chris?
So we obviously cover all types of vehicles in our line. We don't specifically cover Jeeps, but I can tell you we have a lot of experience with Jeeps. Anything from the Wranglers, the Cherokees, Patriots, you name it, we've done it. We've worked on them. The different products we offer includes anything from, let's say, an HID conversion kit, LED headlight bulbs, replacement bulbs and ballasts for the Jeeps like the Cherokees that come with factory xenon HIDs.
Xenon, yeah.
Interior LED bulbs, signal lights, brake lights, reverse lights to LEDs. And this one here, a lot of people don't realize, is our LED flasher unit, which basically you won't need to use resistors when installing any signal bulbs and so forth. If the Jeep has a LED or a regular flasher unit, I should say. And that covers anything, I think up until 2006 Wranglers. They could just do a simple swap, avoid using resistors altogether. And obviously we have all our off-road lighting. So LED light bars, work lights, and even the accent lighting, our LED pod units.
Wow, that's a big selection. You said you don't really cover a lot, but that was like 1, 2, 3. I'm going to say there was like 8 different categories of lighting that you just flipped through real quick, and I know we're going to probably dive into each one. Ramesh, what do you think of all this selection that we have here?
So you were talking about pod lighting.
Yeah.
What do you mean by pod lighting?
Well, let's take a quick look.
All right, go ahead and roll the tape on that.
Oh, we have a tape. Excellent.
Yes, we have many.
These are in essence an LED light shaped like a puck or a pod that you can use for various purposes. We piggybacked on the idea of rock lights that were popular quite a few years ago. These rock lights were installed in the tire wall of Jeeps to help illuminate the tires and rocks at night in case the vehicle got stuck and you had to find a way out. Nowadays, most consumers just use them as a cosmetic light to accent their wheels. We started to find that we could use this type of light source for many other applications, hence broke away from the term rock light and called them our LED pod lights. Each pod includes some mounting hardware, nuts, bolts, and washers to secure the unit, 2 rubber mounts to protect any painted surfaces from getting scratched up. One mount is curved should you be mounting them on some sort of tube like side steps, bull bars, and so forth. The other mount is for relatively flat surfaces. Both rubber mounts have a hole in the middle to pass the wiring through. Alternatively, they also have channels in the rubber for you to run the wires out the sides of the rubber should you choose not to run the wires through the mounting surface. Currently, these are available in 5 different colors: white, blue, amber, red, and green. Other colors are being considered at the moment and may be introduced later this year.
First of all, kudos on the Lazy Susan 360 view of those pod lights. I mean, the effort put in is remarkable.
I think
Chris,
it's Chris standing underneath it.
yeah, right. He's like doing this. My first question, you mentioned it. This is kind of like the evolution of the rock light, right? You nailed it on the head. These started, lighting the wheel wells, but man, that shape, right, that form factor can fit into so many applications. So, what other ways are you seeing customers using these pod lights, Chris?
So it started as rock lights, and obviously we thought, we could pretty much use this type of product anywhere when it comes to accent lighting. Maybe you could roll the tape on the actual applications where we show you what some of our dealers have actually done with it.
All right, let's watch the video.
This first collage shows various vehicles using the pods to light up the tire walls. Another popular application is for under-vehicle lighting. Use inside subwoofer enclosures are becoming more popular as the size of the pods are easy to hide. And with the amount of light it produces, the picture shows that it can still be admired even in rooms that are well lit. For those looking for more practical applications, the pods have been used extensively for cargo and trunk lighting. Other applications we've seen the pods used, but couldn't share any pictures for, include Puddle Lights, where the lights are installed and triggered to turn on to light up the area just outside the door, in essence to see any puddles in the dark. External reverse lights, accent lighting in the vehicle's grille, engine compartment lighting, brake lights, where the lights are installed in the rear pointing at the ground and triggered to turn on when the brake lights come on.
You know, what's interesting, what I've seen there is very creative use of the light. And I think that has a lot to do with, you know, the durability of the light as well. So you really have no limitations of where you could put it. But, you know, some of those applications, like especially in the interior, Chris, a lot of popular type of lighting, I would say, would be LED light strips. Wouldn't you be able to kind of swap that out, like the interchangeability between LED light strips and these pod lights?
Definitely. And I think you nailed it on the ball there with the word durability. When it comes right down to it, for the exterior of the vehicle, it's LED light strips generally don't work well. They're prone to getting damaged by like water and condensation. Hot and cold weather changes can actually change the structure of the actual LED strip itself. So it could become brittle and crack, which I'm sure a lot of people have seen before. More importantly, you run into the situation where there's going to be impact damage. A rock's going to fly at it, a piece of salt will fly at it, hits the LED chip. LED chip is no longer functional. If it actually hits the board inside that actually connects all the LED chips, again, you're going to damage it. It's not going to be functional, and then you're going to turn around and have to replace the whole LED strip, which in our industry as an installer, you don't want to be doing that.
Yeah, I think every shop, you know, just to jump in here, sorry, Chris, they've been through LED strip installs for, you know, better part of a decade. And I don't know, like firsthand, both at the retail level and as a distributor, I haven't seen a brand or even stuff that was bought, you know, from wherever, out at car shows with buddies and, you know, people putting stuff in their driveway where it's ever lasted even half a season. If it's outside the vehicle, you know, we haven't had experience where they've lasted inside the vehicle for footwell lighting. These strips just, I don't think they're designed. I think they're designed for cabinets in your kitchen. And my apologies to anybody who loves the category of strips. But I mean, if you're not using them in your kitchen, I don't really know where they. And even that, in all fairness, you know, Lumens has some really nice under cabinet lighting when you get into that. But I use it in my office.
I think it's a question of qualifying the customer for what purpose, you know, they're
those pod lights, man. You can I've literally stood on them here in the showroom. They're ridiculous.
They are solid. They are solid.
So, and that's a big point. I mean, if they're good, if they can withstand the pressure of Romesh.
Yes, that is the thing. It's gonna be a new standard like CEA rating. It's gonna be a Romesh rating. Yeah.
No, okay. On a more serious note, though, Chris, like, I'm gonna be devil's advocate. Don't be angry. Pod lights. I mean, this is not a new thing, right? The rock lights have been out for a while, so I'm gonna question you. Like, why such a focus? Why is it so important to understand these specific pod lights from Lumens?
Well, we do have a lot of advantages over the stuff that was currently in the market at the time, and even the products that are on the market right now. And I believe the first advantage, obviously, is the way we actually waterproof this stuff. Everyone thinks that, you know, it's waterproof. It's all done the same. We seal it somehow, and there's no water that'll ever get inside. So let's take a quick look at what that means.
All right, let's keep.
Here we have the Lumens Hpl LED pod light. In the back, there are two screws holding the shell together. Notice that we do not use any type of sealant to prevent water from entering the pod casing. Once the cover has been removed, you'll see that the whole unit is sealed via a strong polycarbonate shell with an integrated lens. During the assembly, the shell is pushed into the metal backplate with the gasket and epoxy sealed, providing a waterproof space protecting the whole circuit board with the electronics and LEDs. On the back end, the CNC hole is cut precisely to only allow the gauge of the wiring through. And of course, it is also sealed inside to where the wiring meets the circuit board. You'll notice at this point that the unit without the cosmetic cover is a sealed unit. Hence, we don't have to worry about any leakage from the shell itself onto the electrical circuits. We had worked from the ground up when designing our pods, from the lens to the casing and the electrical circuitry. We wanted to solve the common issues we found in the market with a typical rock light. This is a typical single color rock light we found in the market. Notice that while I'm loosening the backplate from the cover, that there isn't any type of sealant on the screw to prevent water leakage, just like the Lumens Hpl pods. Once opened up, notice that this rock light doesn't make any effort to protect the electrical circuitry from water and moisture. In some of the products we found, some manufacturers did protect the electronics by covering it up with silicone. In this particular item, a rubber gasket found on the lens used provides limited protection for the LEDs, but not much else. This allows water and moisture to eat away at the electronics with time, eventually leading to what we consider premature failure. The next and final unit we disassembled off-screen for the video. Each of the screw holes were sealed with silicone to prevent water leakage. Inside the item, it's filled with a lot of silicone and the LEDs protected by a gasket on the lens. The sealant is great when the item is new, but as time passes, the silicone will change its structure due to water and salt penetrating it, slowly hardening and loosening all its waterproofing capabilities. On this particularly new unit, you can already see the silicone has started hardening and becoming brittle.
So that makes me ask some questions, Ramesh. I don't know about you, but that kind of I don't know what to say about that, really. I'm kind of at a loss for words. I wasn't expecting to see that inside and how these are supposed to be element ready when one of them was literally just a lens covering just the LED. I mean, what's the point of just covering the LED portion? I don't understand.
Well,
help me understand.
It depends. If I open up the product, it's brand new, I dip it in water, it still lights up. In some people's opinion, that's waterproof. Unfortunately, when you drive around and you go through a car wash, you go through puddles, you go through snow, it changes quite rapidly. And with that first one there, like you can imagine, chances are you're going to have issues within a month, 2 months tops. And yeah, it might be covered by warranty, but you're going to be changing it every month or 2 months.
Who's paying for the labor?
That plus the pain, right?
You know what I mean? Like, it's great that it's covered under warranty, but if you have to take it out for the customer, like if you're a dealer and you've sold this to somebody, or it's your own truck, on a Friday night after you're done, do you really want to after you're done working for 8 hours, do you really want to take your own truck apart and you just want to put it in once and forget it, right? Right.
So,
that was one of the common things we saw, and again, a big complaint about LED strips, and that's something we wanted to kind of overcome before introducing our pod lights.
Okay, so I can see now why you're so proud of your pod lights, but what about their performance, Chris? As in what they do, their lighting.
Let's take a look. That's the best way to show it.
All right.
Okay, cool.
The next two advantages the Lumens Hpl pod lights have over traditional rock lights are the wider light dispersion patterns and the overall brightness of our pods. In the first screenshot, we show the same generic rock light we disassembled, shining towards the ground against a screen just over 2 feet away from the ground. Not bad, but not enough to fill up a full tire well. Hence, at least 2 or more of these units would be needed to fill a tire well with light. The width of the light pattern is definitely under 2 feet. This rock light, according to the packaging, is rated at 9 watts. On this screen, we've lit up an RGB rock light rated at 15 watts total power. Although this rock light also uses 3 separate LED chips, only one is on for red, as the blue and green chips are not on. The beam pattern isn't very wide in this case, unless all 3 chips are on at the same time, which is usually the white color. Notice how the light pattern is on an angle when only one chip is on. This is the downfall to RGB lighting when you're trying to light specific areas, as the beam pattern will change depending on what color you choose. Another downfall is that you will generally lose total light output unless you choose white, the color in which all 3 chips are at maximum power. Now, the Lumens Hpl pod light. At a true 15 watts, it's substantially brighter. With our unique lens design, it gives a much wider light dispersion, and because all 3 chips are on at any given time, the light pattern remains consistent. We agree that having the ability to change colors at any given time is great, but let's be honest. Most people are too lazy to decide when asked, but after a couple of weeks of fiddling around with the color change capabilities, those RGB units are left on one color. The light scheme generally follows the color of the vehicle in the end, and the color of the vehicle generally doesn't change after the fact. So in our opinion, pick the color you want now and reap the benefits of the single color pods.
Ramesh, you probably have a question. I have a comment here. You make me feel like a little person today, Chris, because you just described me. Like I was all hot to trot. I'm not going to say what it was or what. I have a vehicle that, I spent the time putting RGB in. And I'm not knocking RGB. I think it has its place. It's super cool. My kids love it when I light up the Christmas tree. But it's probably been 2 months where I left it at the same light color, and I'm probably not going to change it because I kind of like it. It matches the rest of the vehicle. So when you said that, I was like, "Oh my god, he's talking about me." Anyways, I had to get that.
Oh no, I'm the same. Originally, when LED came out, and then RGB was like, "Oh, of course you want RGB. Like, why wouldn't you want RGB?" But the understanding that, red, green, blue RGB. Right, you have 3 bulbs comprising.
I never even thought of that until just now.
So when you fade, like if you're only going to do green or only going to do red, you'll get 1/3 of that
really.
entire color, right?
And it totally affects the beam pattern, because I noticed that when you select a color, it's not as bright as when you do a full white. Now I understand why, because when it's white, it's all 3 LEDs firing off, and when it's one, depending on what color you choose, it'll skew the pattern based on your demo, and that totally makes sense. So I think for Jeep customers, if their mission is to truly light a certain area specifically, it's hard to argue with the performance of.
Yeah, like if you're doing wheel well, things like that, or we see a lot of use actually for undercarriage. We get those calls all the time because back decades ago, people were looking for, and dealers still call saying, "Hey, do you have any of those underglow kits?" Like, yep.
Are you talking? Of course we have. Yes, what? Street glow. Full neon kits, they were the jam. I'm just saying.
Right, until they broke or didn't work.
Until they broke, yeah.
This is whether it was neon kits, which then became LED kits from Verid or whoever it was. Right, yeah. I'll pull names out.
Yeah, I saw Verid. Oh my god. LEDs.
We did all those brands.
Yeah, for sure.
The issue was with the 1-year warranty was at 11.5 to 13.5, 14 months, you start getting this, you sell a boatload of it, and then you get a certain percentage back that's higher than you would think, and now you're in this limbo thing of dealing with the manufacturer who may or may not, and in a lot of cases, didn't want to deal with it. I don't want to throw people under the bus, but it is what it is.
For sure.
And then it made us want to exit the category because we can't give customer service levels.
But this gives me confidence. What I've seen so far, this would give me confidence.
Right, and this is where we've been doing this. We have been selling, we did a motorhome, single color, and we just, I asked for the ride height to figure out the, kind of what the beam pattern dispersion was roughly going to be, just kind of, eyeballing it. because you don't want to have any spots. You want to make it look like it floats, right?
It's fluid, yeah.
Yeah, it's fluid. So, you know, you don't need a ton because it's so bright. You don't need a ton of it. You want it to sort of, you want it spaced out enough that it's not too bright, if that's possible. Like usually you say too bright isn't possible, but in that application it kind of is. And I can't remember the numbers, but it was like X amount down the sides plus like 6 across or 8 across on the front, and that's it, done.
But would you agree with me, Ramesh, because of the consistent like specs and performance of these particular pod lights, it's easy to, you know, quote that job, or because it's it's a repeatable performance, right? You know exactly what you're going to get.
It is repeatable. It's predictable.
It's predictable. That's the word I was looking for. It was predictable.
Yeah, it's repeatable, predictable, right? And that's what we want as dealers. We talk about it in audio. I mean, it's what you want as dealers, but it's also what you want as a consumer. You want to go in and have something put in. You want to pick up the job. You want to pay for it. You want to get the demo. You want to feel good about it. And 5 years from now, you want to feel good about it too.
Exactly.
Right. Or whatever down the road. Right.
All right. Let's continue on.
So one other thing we didn't touch in any of the videos is important to our industry here with the mobile audio, and that's EMC. To those that aren't familiar with it, it's electromagnetic compatibility. In short,
it's not MC Hammer.
It's not MC Hammer.
Okay, wait, Ramesh, do you know about this acronym EMC? Just yes or no?
I know about the acronym, but why do I care in lighting, Chris?
Okay, yes.
Like why?
Go, Chris.
Why does anybody like? I know what it does. I know why we have it in on the audio side, and I understand the technology, but I bet you most consumers won't understand why. But this is stuff
they
that's
run
designed.
into it.
Right. So what is it? Tell us.
So
why do we need it? Why do we care?
The main reason you want EMC, or we want EMC in our industry, especially the audio industry, is it means that it does not produce any radio interference at the end of the day. And that's important because your customers are spending thousands, if not tens of thousands, on their audio systems. The last thing you want is another piece of electronic to turn on and wipe all that money out, because now you have radio static. And in some cases, you might totally lose sound altogether. This won't be true if you're playing off an MP3 or a CD or whatever it is nowadays, Sirius. But it will make a difference for local radio stations, especially if you live in the outskirts of a city where radio signal already isn't strong. You turn on a light that doesn't have EMC, boom, you lose that radio station. The only way to get the radio station back is to turn off the light. The really bad part about it is if we don't build it into our products at the time of manufacturing, you can't fix this after. So if our products created radio noise and you called us up and say, well, what's your solution for it? Unfortunately, the solution is to remove that product and install something that actually has this built in. And we've seen that throughout all of our different products where people will call us up. I picked up this online, threw it in, it's throwing up. What do you have to fix it? Remove it and buy a Lumens product. And then you'll have that solved. And there's nothing we could just add to it to actually fix the problem.
Are you saying that all the products are EMC?
Pretty much all of our products right now are. When we originally started, I think 12 years ago or whatever it was, not everything was. And, again, working with the audio industry, it became pretty clear that all of our products need this. Otherwise, we're kind of being counterproductive to their customers because, again, they're coming in to spend that big money on their audio systems.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. All right, let's kind of round out this portion here. I know we got a lot more stuff to cover, but Chris, talk to us about you've had the calls. Obviously multiple applications for these type of pod lights. What about the level of difficulty as far as the installation? What's involved?
So install, I find, is a little bit better than an RGB unit. And the main reason for that is it's a single color. So it's a simple on and off switch that you need to turn it on. 12 volt ground, it comes on full power, no adjustments. There's one less box to install, the controller, one less controller to go bad. A lot of times you'll have to extend wires. And if you look at an RGB unit, there's at least 4 wires in there, very thin, and you have a tough time extend in every single one. For ours, it's 2 Rs, positive and ground. And that itself makes it quite a bit simpler. Most importantly, and this is the biggest comment we have to single color versus RGB, if you choose to use 6 today, and you bought this set, RGB set that controls 6, maybe 8, and then after the install, you decide, you know what, I also want to add another 6 to maybe the trunk, to the interior. You now have to buy a whole new set to add it on in order to get everything working. And you cannot go over and above what that controller can control. And once you want more than that controller's output ports, you have to buy a whole new set again, leaving all the stuff you purchased before kind of, do I resell it? Do I throw it out? Because you can't return it at that point. So in that sense, I would say that's an advantage of a single color pod versus a full RGB set.
Again, going back to my situation, because I'm selfish like that, I'm going to talk about me. If I could redo that vehicle, I would definitely go back to a single color. Just the time and finger cramps that I had to endure to connect these and extend these little tiny, frustrating RGB wires. Oh my God, I would not want to do that again. So I totally feel you on that. Ramesh, I'd like to hear what you say. So we can
Well, your finger cramp issue is probably just age, but that's a different problem.
Really? You're going to go there?
Yes,
a little bit of that.
But in all seriousness, we going back a little bit. I just want to jump in on that the EMC, right? One of the things, like Chris was talking about, applications in sort of the interference, right? When we're installing that stuff in a trunk or in a kick, like underfoot lighting, where in a kick panel in the front of some of those GMs, there's actually body control modules and other things. There have been instances of different products, like remote starters, because of the antenna and signals and stuff like that, and the frequencies they're working on, interfering with BCMs, right?
Really?
And in trunks, in a lot of the German cars and some of the newer vehicles, you've got the actual ECU is in the trunk near the battery, which is in the trunk. So when you start doing lighting and accent lighting in your trunk and stuff like that, if you're not if as a dealer, you don't need to know which cars or which applications are a problem. You just need to know that the product isn't going to be a problem.
Yeah.
And that solves all of it right there. Right.
Makes a lot of sense.
It's an interesting kind of side note to it.
Yeah. All right. Chris, let's keep the ball rolling. We got a lot more to cover. What else do you have for us today?
It would be, I would say, for Jeeps, light bars, very popular. Recently, we introduced a whole line of single row light bars, or 2 lines to be exact. We have the comp line, which is a low profile, typical light bar beam pattern. It's thin, so if you want to install in your grills and whatnot. And one that's very different would be the prime line of our light bars. It's also a single row. It's slightly taller in height, but it works off of a reflector so that we can actually aim all the reflectors and produce a driving light pattern. And I think if we put up this video here, we'll explain it a little bit better via pictures.
Pro Joe, almost, but not.
We all know that conventional light bars shouldn't be used on roads as the light is shot everywhere. At the same time, it would be nice to have an abundance of light when you're in an area where there aren't any other vehicles. Hence, we decided to introduce the Prime light bar line. The 12-inch version of this light bar has been E-marked and is legal to use on road when installed correctly wherever E-mark is recognized. E-mark is the mark for approved vehicle and vehicle parts sold in Europe. The Prime light bars are specifically ECE 112R compliant for headlights. Some provinces in Canada do recognize this along with SAE and DOT standards. Because laws and such change all the time, I'm not going to list all the different provinces here and encourage dealers to check with their local authorities. The other lengths of the Prime line are not E-marked, but follow the same pattern and principles as our 12-inch bar, but we have not received certifications for all the other lengths as of yet. Although the light pattern is designed for regular driving, many in the off-road community do like the pattern even when they're in the trails, as the light pattern is familiar to drivers and provides light where you need it most. Because all the light produced from the LED chips are focused into the useful areas, drivers feel that these light bars are brighter and they can see more off-road. Although this is not true, as the raw power of each chip remains the same, there isn't any wasted light output being shot into the sky or way off to the sides in which your peripheral vision wouldn't normally pick up.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense to have a focused light pattern like that. Are there any other benefits, Chris?
It depends what the dealer's carrying at the moment or whatever brand you want to compare it to. We put together another video to kind of show you the differences and additional benefits of these bars. Other benefits of the Prime light bars include stainless steel leg mounts with 2 fastening points. EMC, like our other products, they won't cause radio interference. They measure 2.5 inches in height, 3.4 inches deep. Each light bar includes a waterproof 2-pin DT connector. The line offers 13 different lengths, 8-inch, 10-inch, 12-inch, 14-inch, 18-inch, 20-inch, 23-inch, 27-inch, 33-inch, 37-inch, 43-inch, 47-inch, 53 inches. I list each length individually as we know that having smaller increments in lengths will help in finding a specific size you may need for your install. We do offer some additional accessories that are sold separately for installation purposes. We offer license plate brackets. They come in 2 variations. One that simply allows the light to be mounted perpendicular to the license plate. The other that has a cosmetic bull bar in the front of the light. These are great for those that want extra light output on their vehicle without an intensive install procedure. This is particularly true for those that would only use the light occasionally and remove the lighting when they're not in need of it, as the install and removal of this bracket can be done in a short period of time. For those that would like a simple on-off switch, we offer 2 different harnesses, one with a single light output and the other with 2 separate light outputs. Each harness includes a relay and switch along with corresponding 2-pin DT output connectors. Raw 2-pin DT connectors. Whether you're looking to replace an existing connector or if you're doing an elaborate wiring setup, these waterproof connectors are available. Finally, optional foot mounts are available in case the 2 side mount brackets included with the light cannot be used for your application. Instead, your application requires that you mount below the actual light bar.
Very cool. Very nice and very sturdy looking brackets. That's what I see there. Ramesh, light bars clearly is a very popular category. It's an easy accessory to add on. It's visually, aesthetically pleasing. And
I would think that for a Jeep owner, that's almost like,
yeah.
I mean, I think you order them before the truck even arrives. Maybe.
Right. Well, the thing is, I'm most interested about, and I'd like to hear your opinion on this, Ramesh. There's so many sizes available. Like, that's a really big selection of light bars.
It is. And I mean, it's kind of funny because we do have, we do have other brands of light bars here. And so it does happen where, somebody will be, I have this much space, and they give us a measurement, right? Whatever that measurement is. And we start looking down and we're like, well, the closest one is 1.5 inches longer than you have. So the next one is like 4 inches shorter. So you lose like 2 inches and 2 inches on either side from center, right? And it is, unfortunately, that is what is available, right? In this case, it's going to be pretty hard to not be able to fill a gap or fill a hole, right? Like I actually called Chris on a talking about being selfish and your own stuff. I was like, hey, Chris, I just measured this thing and it's like goes from here to here, right? And he's like, yeah, we'll have something in the Prime. I'm like, how do you know? He's like, because this is before the Prime was launched. And he's like, trust me. I'm like, what do you mean trust you? Like, how's that? Well, now that you see
we know
482 and a half sizes.
Yeah, exactly.
It's pretty hard for you to not be able to get it to fit. So cosmetically for dealers, dealers and consumers, what it means is when you have a certain size and you want to optimize, you don't really want those gaps or having to build a filler plate or try to figure out how to make it fit in a certain area. It's going to fit. It's going to look right.
I mean,
and optimize how many bulbs, how many individual LEDs you're going to get into that location. right?
I've seen other offerings from other brands, and I've seen like 2, 3, 4 widths. Like
Yeah,
now we're
sometimes like
talking about
6 is like, you
yeah,
know, yeah.
right. But this is like, you call how much space does the customer have? It has this is the one that you need because you'll optimize the space. I think there's a
Well,
lot of
here's
value.
2 that'll fit. Pick the one that's righter,
Right,
which is gooder, right?
Which one is gooder?
Yeah, whichever one fits gooder. Technical
Chris,
term.
before we switch on to the next one final category, I want to hear, just in your opinion, your light bars. Obviously, you're passionate about it. You have a big offering in it. What do you want people to know about these light bars? The most important.
They're going to be reliable. They're going to work. They're not going to cause any issues for you. And when it comes to the prime light bar, the light pattern really is that different. And the feedback we've gotten from those that have actually installed it, used it, has been phenomenal. Like in my mind, I would think, your traditional light bar that gets light everywhere would be better off-road. But the feedback I get is, well, I'm not looking everywhere when I'm driving this Jeep.
Mm-hmm.
I need to see here. And when you put these light bars on, I get lots of light where I want it.
Mm-hmm.
Not up there where I'm not looking, not down here where I'm not looking.
And this was kind of the point, Ben, that we kind of touched on the lead-in. I said you can have ratings and numbers of things, and you said what makes lumens different. Well, that lighting being in the right place and in a usable pattern is really more important. And there's no measurement for that, and there's no specification for that, particularly that the industry recognizes. So unless you know as a dealer or as a consumer that this is going to work better for what I need, because what the money I'm spending is going to be spent on the right place, which is where I want to see the light, then I'm just buying a wattage number or a lumens number or a horsepower number, right? That's what lumens does differently.
Well, what I also want to add, and then we can get to the next category, is, you nailed it on the head. The Jeep, we're talking about Jeep specific customers today. They're looking at trail. They want to know what's ahead. They want their focus light. That, not all customers, maybe a truck, a farmer, maybe he wants as much dispersion as possible because he wants to look over his field, right? So again,
right.
The point I'm trying to make is Lumens offers the product for each specific category and need. Just need to qualify the customer. Again, coming back.
Hey, Ben, out near your place, honestly, having driven the Trans-Canada stupidly at night when I was a lot younger and not so smart, out through New Brunswick. Well, I thought those reflective things, I didn't realize.
Dude, I need to see a moose from like a kilometer away. That's
all right, right. Well, that's what I'm saying. All those reflective things in the trees are moose, right? So that wide beam pattern sometimes.
Yeah, that's good.
It's 110 zone.
If I could, I would put both. And depending on what I need to do, I can switch one on or the other because they're that different. So,
well, all right, Chris, there's a double harness.
I seen that exactly. Chris, got a lot of great stuff. My God, time's flying by. What else do we have in this category? What else do we have?
So another popular one would be our LED sealed beam units, and what that is some of the Jeeps come with the traditional sealed beam headlight. So where the whole unit comes out and you replace the whole thing. There's no light bulbs to change on those Jeeps. For instance, the older Wranglers, like 2000 and earlier, the older Jeep Cherokees, Grand Cherokees, they all use sealed beam units. But also conveniently with the 2001 and up Wranglers to, I think, 2019, 2020-ish, they all happen to have a headlight housing that's 7 inches round. And we can use our 7-inch round sealed beam units to replace those headlight units as a whole. And the other popular size would be the 5x7-inch seal beam, which is found on a lot of the Grand Cherokees and so forth.
I think those are behind you, right?
They are, just off to the side.
Yeah.
But conveniently, I got a video to actually show you on the 7-inch.
Look at you.
Yeah, let's do it. 7-inch.
It's all organized and stuff.
This unit here is our 7-inch round sealed beam upgrade. They can be used to replace any 7-inch round sealed beam on Jeeps. But also conveniently, they can replace the 7-inch round headlight housing found in most Jeep Wranglers. This unit comes at a substantially lower price point than our previous generation 7-inch LED unit, yet still DOT approved. Like our other products, they are EMC, so they won't cause any radio interference. Pro tip, Always use our SLD HH4 harness with these lights, as going directly into the vehicle socket will shorten the life of the unit. Everything will function properly without the harness, but you'll wonder why they keep failing 1 to 2 years of use. Each light includes an H13 to H4 adapter, and they're available in chrome and black. Here we show the low beam pattern on a 20-foot wide wall. Next, we are showing the high beam pattern on the same 20-foot wide wall.
Very nice. And I think while we're there, let's take a look quickly at the 5-inch model as well.
Another unit that would apply to some older Jeeps produced before the year 2000 is our current 5x7-inch LED unit. This unit follows the E-Mark beam pattern and keeps a more traditional reflector look rather than the newer projector look, as some people find the projector look to stand out a little too much on an older vehicle. This would be the low beam pattern on a 20-foot wide wall, and this is the high beam pattern on the same 20-foot wide wall.
Why would you want to keep your original old school sealed beam lights? They don't look the best. Like if you had this
Because
option,
you've got a 4-screen Grand Cherokee with gold trim.
I know. I'm just saying, with options that Chris has, like, why would you not change it? It's like the output are terrible on those headlights. First of all,
Hey,
you
you're
can't
driving,
even see anything.
to the world.
You know, never mind about looks and aesthetics. I mean, they look great.
can't see
Obviously,
anything.
they look great. But you can't see anything. I mean, if you do yourself a favor and buy your relative,
It's the same
or dad
housing as
those-
an old Econoline. Remember the
it's
old Ford
crazy.
Econoline? You can't see anything. You can't see anything. It's the same thing. Same 5x7.
And they get scratched and scruffy over time so quickly. Anyways, I'm going off tangent. Chris, you've obviously put a lot of effort into this presentation today, so I want to ask you some specific questions. And one of them is, you know, Lumens puts a lot of focus and attention to detail. Okay, so how important is it for dealers to communicate these kind of details to their customers? Because Jeep clientele is specific. So I'd like to hear what you have to say about that.
I think it's very important. I mean, when it comes to Jeep products, it is a niche market, but everyone likes to kind of dive into it because there's so many people with Jeeps. And because of that, there's a huge selection of product on the market. And, you know, we touch on every detail because it's important. Your beam pattern, you're driving with this stuff. You need to see where you're going. Radio interference, you don't want to put a cheaper product in only to have it wipe out your audio, especially if you're the type of person that listens to radio all the time. It's important to these guys. They're listening to the news. It's not necessarily music and whatnot. Functionality, the longevity of the product. Again, we don't want to be replacing this all the time. It's not just a matter of labor charges or whether I spend time warranting products. It's just at the end of the day, as a consumer for myself, I don't want to be in and out of my car all the time on the same product when I'm supposed to be enjoying this stuff, right? And to me, that's the way we think, and that's what we really consider at the end of the day is the guy using our products. If it was us, would we be happy with it? And we want to make sure that all of our products that we present to consumers, to dealers, it meets that certain standard. And we look at every little detail that we could possibly think of to actually make that happen. And then when there's new generations of it that comes to replace it, there has to be an immediate need for it, not just, you know, a cosmetic revamp or something that's like just marketing based and there's no true functionality or benefit to it. So when you do see us renew the certain 7-inch light, there's a reason for it. If we renew our light bars, there's a reason for it. And we're not gonna, you know, just make it all redundant where, you know, I got like 15 different lines of single row light bars, 15 different lines of dual row light bars. And the big question then is, well, which one's better?
Mm-hmm.
They're all slightly different from each other. And, you know, if it was me, I'd pick this one. Well, that's the one we have.
Mm-hmm.
There is no other one that we would choose. This is the one for that purpose. And we want to keep it that simple for our dealers so that they're not any more confused than they already are from this huge selection of the same product all over the market.
Yeah, certainly overwhelming. Well said, Chris. Moving over to you, Ramesh.
Mhm.
Covered a lot. Obviously, there's a big selection, especially for
Huge.
Jeep customers. But I'd like to see, based on what we learned today, what are you kind of forecasting here? There's going to be hot ticket items, or you might expect some phone calls from after this, the show.
Oh, I mean, hot ticket items. I mean, I think light bars is the category is a low hanging fruit, but the prime I think are different, if you will,
Mm.
from the middle of the road or the common. I don't say middle of the road, the common offerings. And I think cosmetically, I think we expect cosmetically and performance wise, I think we expect to see a lot of dealers jumping on that line for sure.
Okay, very cool. I'm going to leave you with one more question, Chris, before we let you go. What message or what final message would you have for dealers tuning in, learning about Lumens for the very first time, Jeep enthusiasts? What message you want to make sure is loud and clear from you to them?
If you need it to work, you need it to fit, we got it. It's all at a fair price. I wouldn't put us near the bottom of the price points. eBay, Amazon's got that covered. We're definitely not at the top of the price point, but our quality isn't far from the guys at the top. But we want to be fair. And again, as a consumer, what does that mean? And our price points are set with the consumer in mind.
Very, very cool. So value, attention to detail. These are all things that I think come through, and a vast selection for specific reasons and purposes and functions. It's all there. Chris, I really want to give you a big thank you. High five. Really great presentation. Thank you for taking the time to prepare
Thanks, Chris.
all these
Great job
videos for us. I think Ramesh will be certainly emailing this video to many, many customers when they ask them, what about them prime bars? And they say, watch this video.
What? Oh, it's like, yeah, what do you, like pods here, go from 3 minutes and 42 seconds to 5 minutes,
Done.
whatever. There you
Everything
go.
you need to know.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Chris.
I can't do it any better than that.
We'll see you soon enough. Take care.
Thanks
a lot, Chris. Appreciate it.
All right, Ramesh, we're down to it. I got one or two questions for you before I can let you go. I mean, you kind of pointed out, the hot ticket item being the prime bars. You think that's a jam. What were you most impressed by? I mean, Chris is pretty impressive as a person, as a human being. But
you know what? That entire line, I mean, it's hard to pick just one thing because I say pod lights and I say light bars, and then but the new seal beams are really.
Like, is that what you would
recommend? I mean, I think if I owned a Jeep,
try?
I would just be like, give me this, give me this, give me this, give me this. Like, I don't know that I would be able to
that's how
pick
Jeep
or
guys
prioritize.
are. That's how Jeep.
I think you don't. I don't. Yeah, I don't. I mean, unless you're trying to, stage your cash flow in your household, in 2 week or 4 week increments or whatever.
Yeah, right.
I think you just walk in and you just check off all the boxes, and you do the rock lights. You do all of it.
Okay, hold on. If I was a dealer, what would you recommend? I never tried Lumens before. Ben, try this, and you won't be disappointed. What would it be?
In the Jeep category, we're saying, right?
We're talking Jeep now. Let's stick with the Jeep.
Jeep specifically? Light bars.
Back to
the light bars.
I have to say those light bars look pretty darn sexy. Again, reminding our listeners, if you want to get in on some of this Lumens action, give the guys at ImportTel a call. Ramesh's team standing by. ImportTel.com. Give them a visit. Get you some Lumens for your Jeep customers. Thanks, Ramesh.
Thank you, Ben. Appreciate it. Thanks for
having me on the next one, bud. There you have it, folks. Lumens Hpl. Shout out to Chris Chiang for preparing and being part of our presentation today. Of course, to Ramesh for being a good wingman on this one. I want to remind you to continue tuning in to CMA Networks right through until Monday, May 9th, as we continue with the Jeep sessions. We've got the premier brands in the category one-on-one. We get to discover what they have to offer for the Jeep customer, one brand at a time. Of course, if you haven't already, make sure you head over to cmanetworks.com. We've got a whole revamped website, hundreds of videos and training stuff to choose from. New search engines, either search by category, by brand, or even by trainer. My man Chris Chiang has his own profile. Go check it out. That's it. Thanks for tuning into this CMA Connected presented by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu. Until next time, we connect.
I mean, yeah, that's how
Stop
we go
it.
today where I'm gonna go
Yo,
topics.
roll it down.
I am.
You don't need a car to listen to Sirius XM. You can listen anywhere. You know that, right?
What? Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio.
Kevin, you could use your phone.
What?
Alexa, play Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio on Sirius XM.
What?
This is how I know you're getting old. I guess that was it.
What?